Guys, welcome to Better Bachelor. My name is Joker with a face for radio and a voice for print. Texas bans a spicy website, and it's joined several other states that have done the same thing, and it's making quite a debate. There's those of us out there that feel that we have the First Amendment. We have the right to speak our minds and share what we want, and young men enjoy this kind of material, and who's to say that they shouldn't enjoy it? And then there's the other side that says, well, there's no age verification on this, and there needs to be. And if you're not okay with giving your personal information to these websites and signing in with a photo ID or something like that, then you shouldn't have access to it because young people are seeing it and it's messing them up. Me personally, this stuff wasn't around when I was a kid. You had the weird, creepy video places where you could go rent a VHS tape, or sometimes in the back of Blockbusters or other video stores, they'd have a little cordoned off room that for some reason oddly had beads hanging between the doorway, between the regular video shop and the interesting stuff in the back. And for young pups like myself, coming across even a magazine like Hustler or Playboy or one of those, that was kind of tricky. Usually a friend had to go find an issue that was 17 months old out of his father's stash in the back of his closet, or there were some fathers, I guess, that were out there with it and just laid it on the back of the toilet tank there. Or there were people like myself that none of that was even in the house, and you had to watch scrambled Showtime at 2 a.m., hopefully to be able to glimpse a little something, or you had to get your rocks off looking at a J.C. Penney's magazine. I'm sure that has nothing to do with why I find 30-year-old women that look like they could be very attractive MILFs in cheap lingerie. I'm sure that has nothing to do with why I find them kind of hot because of my proclivities as a young man. But that being aside, it's an interesting argument. I think it's a good conversation to be had. And I'll tell you my take on it just right off the top. I'm normally a live and let live. But unfortunately, because a kid can sit down on a computer or a phone, type in any of these websites, and the bar to entry is, are you 18? Yep. Okay. Welcome to the, and there's some, my brothers, there is some dark, there's some dark, weird stuff out there. Not that I know firsthand. Promise. I'm just saying. There's some weird stuff out there, and a lot of times it's suggested to you as a peruser of the content. I think it was James O'Keefe, who used to formerly be of Project Veritas. He did an expose on this stuff, and come to find out, they're pushing specifically weird stuff, ones that include, say, men that used to be women and women that used to be men. That is being pushed more as a option, or a first option for videos. So there's definitely some politicking and some weird stuff going on with that. This is from SCNR. The corn sites are blocked in Texas following age verification law. In Texas, companies cannot get away with showing this stuff to kids, said AG Ken Paxton. If they don't want to comply, good riddance. The world's biggest site has been blocked for anyone in Texas from viewing its website. The move comes 1 week after Texas court ruled that the state's age verification requirement was lawful. The spicy website Corn, I'm just going to keep calling it Corn, like the vegetable, because YouTube, sent a message to its users in Texas stating that it was not required by law to verify their age before allowing them to access the platform. Not only does that impinge on the rights of adults to access protected speech, but this isn't speech. You see, there's the difference. It fails strict scrutiny by employing the least effective yet also most restrictive means of accomplishing Texas's state purpose of allegedly protecting the young ones, the company wrote. Until the real solution is offered, we have made the difficult decision to completely disable access to our website in Texas, concluded the website. The age verification law, House Bill 1181, was passed by the Texas legislature in June of 2023. Every day that these spicy sites and material content is available without age verification, the platform could be fined up to $10,000. Violating the law and allowing minors to access such content is punishable by a fine of up to $250,000. Companies can also be fined $10,000 for retaining identifying information. The law was challenged by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, but it was upheld. So popping over here, they are joining, now that Texas has banned them, they join Arkansas, Mississippi, Montana, North Carolina, Virginia, and Utah, where the site is also blocked, unless you try to get around that with a VPN. So my argument I am very much a let people do what they want. But we can see where that's gotten us today, because I think the bounds of human creativity and imagination go a lot further than what people that feel like, oh, just let people do what they want. I'm kind of the mind of let people do what they want. But then the next thing you know, they're having 35-year-old dudes that are wearing fake boobs and makeup, dancing provocatively in front of 4-year-olds. And you go, well, that's not what I was talking about. That's not what I meant when I said do what you want to do. I didn't mean that. And now it's kind of like, well, not only are we going to do it, you're a bigot if you want us to stop doing it. And all of a sudden, I find myself not being so libertarian anymore. Then I start going into the anarcho-capitalist type mind frame. Obviously, if you say, hey, you can do whatever you want, just leave me alone. Well, eventually they do what they want, and then they force you to either follow their rules because they're authoritarian, either you or accept them for who they are, and you must allow them to do whatever they want, or you're the bad guy. And that doesn't work so well. So my tune, ironically, in the last 4 or 5 years, has really changed. I never wanted to be the old man, yelling and screaming at the kids, get off my lawn, and turning into somebody that's like, we need a lot more rules in some of these areas. But now I am, because there's been and I have to watch my words on this because we are on YouTube, but there are instances and cases where women under the age of 18, so very young women, were in videos that they did not want to participate in, and they were there under threat of harm. And when that kind of thing is happening and the websites are not doing anything about it, somebody has to. That's the way I kind of feel about it. If you required, like on YouTube, I don't have to show them my ID or anything to upload to YouTube. But I do if I want to get paid, I have to link to a bank account. And so they at least know I'm old enough to get a bank account. And for a lot of these uploaders that are uploading the videos, they don't have any consent forms or anything that is signed by the participants. So if you're going to upload some, a video like this stuff, you should ideally require the information and the consent of the people that are filming the stuff. Then let everybody watch it, that wants to watch it, I guess. And then you're at least protecting the people that are in the videos. That's a big concern. But then I see stories like this one. The legal challenges grow for websites accused of hosting, the harmful stuff, right? Let me zip this up a little bit so you can see it. Websites that host this stuff are facing a new crop of litigation by people who accuse them of profiting from harmful content. And the next sentence I just can't read because I'd be like bleep from bleep bleep and bleepity bleep. But it's basically people that are not old enough to be able to do this stuff, saying they don't want to be doing it, and then it's being shown out there, and the websites themselves are hiding under Section 230. They say at least a dozen lawsuits have been filed under U.S. federal anti-traffic sites or statutes against social media companies and other websites since 2019. In nearly every case, the companies say they are shielded from liability by a federal law designed to safeguard free speech. That 28-year-old law, Section 230 of the U.S. Communications Decency Act, has come under fire on multiple fronts in a larger debate over free speech and online moderation. The law broadly immunizes websites from liability for user-generated content. Some people that are harmed by this, by the filming and posting of it, say the law discourages platforms from addressing online harms. In a recent hearing on online harms against young people, U.S. senators called for legal reforms as they grilled social media executives. My problem with this is these social media sites say, oh, well, you can put all this crazy stuff up there and all this filthy stuff, and you can't hold us accountable because we're just a, we're not a publication. Like we don't take accountability for what's put out there. We just put it out there. And so the people that are actually doing the wrong thing are the people posting it. But then if you're, say, trying to publish information about a laptop before elections, or say you're trying to post stories about what the LDHD TV community is doing to kids, then all of a sudden these same companies say, oh, well, we can't have this stuff out there because it's harmful. It's like, well, you got to choose. Either you put everything out there and you don't moderate, or you don't moderate. And because if you're going to moderate one thing, you need to start moderating more. And this is, I think, the part that I do have some struggle with. I was a 15-year-old boy once. I don't think you should have to be 18 to get to these websites. I don't think that's necessarily the right age. But I can say that at a certain point, if you start getting into this stuff too young, it does mess with you. If you're watching this stuff and maybe you've never had a real interaction with a woman, you've never actually slept with a woman, you don't know what it's like to be in the bedroom with a real live woman, you can watch this stuff and you say, oh, that's what sex and romance and the bedrooms are. I can promise you this. I've never had a woman do half the stuff that you can see in these videos. And if she did, I would probably be a little frightened. I'd probably wonder where she learned all this, and she would definitely not be a keeper, just a renter. This is from USA Today. Teens and the corn. Nearly 3/4 of kids say they've seen this stuff by age 17. That doesn't concern me quite as much as this one. Half said they were exposed to it by the age of 13. A new survey suggests. So when kids are not even teens yet, 13 is the first teen year. When kids are not even teen and all of a sudden they're seeing this stuff, and that could be by 8, 9, 10, that is not good. The report released Tuesday by the nonprofit organization Common Sense Media found the average age reported for first viewing the online stuff was 12. The first viewing at 12. Now by 12, I didn't even have the desire to kiss girls. I didn't have the desire to go on dates with girls. Girls still had cooties and were kind of gross, but also there were new developments that were happening to them that were definitely kind of intriguing. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of like, oh, that, I don't know why that looks good, but I kind of like that. And then as you age a little bit, you start to understand kind of the nuances, and then you hit puberty, and then the dreams show up. And before you know it, you're having dreams long before you even ever decided to spank it and look at stuff online. You start having the dreams that are kind of telling you, hey, how about that? I kind of like that. And young men kind of go through this natural progression. But when you start passing this stuff out to where the average age is 12, I mean, you're talking that a lot of young people are accessing this stuff way too early. They say, but 15% they had seen this stuff by age 10 or younger. 15% of people. I'm sorry, if that's the case, then we need to put some laws in effect that will protect young people. Ideally, you would say, well, that's the parent's job. I agree. Putting web blockers and app blockers on a phone, I think that is the parent's job. However, when half of kids are being raised by single moms, and they're having a whole host of issues, least of which is what they're seeing on the web, then I think it's a case where maybe government does have to. I mean, government's already the dad when it comes to paying for the kid and paying for single mom. Government's taken over the role of dad. Maybe the government needs to also kind of take the role of dad, saying, hey, this is and is not acceptable. I don't like the idea. I hate big government. I hate government getting their fingers into things. But if the companies are just lawless and the companies don't care, maybe that's the big thing that bothers me, is when I was young and I went, you wanted to get some of these magazines or something or other. If you walked into a store and you were 16 or looked 16 or 17, or you might have even been 18 or 19, but you looked young and you went up to the counter and said, yeah, I want that magazine right there, because it was behind the counter, first of all, where it was monitored by somebody. And secondly, you'd say, yeah, I want that magazine right there. They said, do you have ID? You have proof of your age, because otherwise, no, you can't have it. The way these companies act today is, oh, we don't care who sees it. We're immune. You can't stop us. So we're going to show it to anybody. You'd think in a moral society, the company would say, you're right. We would like to protect the people in the videos. We'd like to protect the young people seeing the videos. Maybe there's something we could put in place to make that happen. But no, they're just like, no, screw it. You can't do anything to stop us. And when you have morality in a society go away, the only thing that keeps a sane society is authoritarian rulership by the government. I think that's a big part of why the government wants morality to go away, because then everybody acts the fool, everybody gets crazy, things become dangerous, things become debaucherous, and the government has to come in and say, okay, we'll clean this up for you, because it's obvious the people won't do it for themselves. And then what does that do? Gives the government more power. So it does show you there's probably some incentive by some agency in the government to let things fall off a cliff, because then they're hoping the people will turn to the government and say, oh, won't you please save us? Even though it was they who kind of implemented the collapse. They say the survey helps address lack of research into teens and their exposure to this stuff and establishes a critically important baseline, Common Sense Media founder and CEO James Steyer told USA Today. The report also highlights that parents should address this stuff in discussions about all the topics. It's time for parents to tackle these tough conversations. I agree. But when women, again, half of the households out there, half of kids are being raised by single moms, and these kids are being raised all messed up. So moms, they don't care about this. As a matter of fact, half of the moms are taking them to the shows that are exposing them to this stuff. They go to explain what is it and how likely were teens to have seen it. They say nearly 73% of those surveys said they had watched it online. Exposure could be relatively common. 63% who reported only seeing it accidentally said they were exposed to it in the past week, the survey found. Online media has led many teens to this content unintentionally, the report said. Slightly more than half, 58% of those surveyed, said they had encountered a site accidentally, while 44% said they had intentionally viewed the stuff on purpose. The percentage adds up to more than 100% because many respondents had seen it both accidentally and intentionally. I think this is kind of interesting. Bear with me while I take a sip of liquid. I have a bit of a tender throat. I think this is interesting because if I go into my browser and I turn Safe Search off, I can then type in like sexy redhead. Bam, you get all the spicy stuff. If I type in, underwear, if you type in knee-high socks, if you type in anime, you're going to see some crazy images that come up with those search terms. So the safe search setting, I think, does a pretty good job in a browser. But if a kid doesn't have that on, or he digs around a little too far into the corners of the internet, he's going to come across it. And I don't think young people should be exposed to this stuff. It will mess them up. This is what's crazy, though. This is what blew my mind. 44% said they found it on, the usual like the site that I talk about, this one right here, the corn hubs. 38% saw it on TikTok and Instagram. Or no, I'm sorry. They said, where were they most likely to view it? Among teens who said they intentionally viewed it. Okay. 44 on the corn site, 38% on social media such as TikTok and Instagram, 34% used video sites. Okay, so this is kind of a twist in the words. They say, where were teens most likely to view it? The 44% said they found it on websites such as Pornhub, but 38% used social media. 34% used video sites such as YouTube. 16% used subscription sites such as OnlyFools. Well, as far as I know, you can't find it on YouTube, and I don't think you can find really strong stuff on TikTok and Instagram unless things have changed. So I'm kind of confused what they mean by that. The LDHD TV community were most likely to view this stuff intentionally. They went looking for this stuff. So I'd like to hear what you guys think down below. I am not a big government guy. I hate government. I hate government regulation. I hate government overstepping. But if the parents don't care and the businesses don't care, shouldn't somebody care about keeping people that are too young to be viewing this stuff? Shouldn't somebody care and keep it from them because they haven't developed a normal, healthy relationship with it before seeing some of the weirdest, most freakiest, stuff that is out there? And my mind is, if you make it to where you can't access it from, say, Texas or the United States or whatever, you can open a VPN. You can open a VPN and still view it. And what do you need to do to view it with a VPN? You need to be an adult, and you need to know enough about VPNs. You probably need to pay a provider for a VPN, although there are probably some free VPNs out there. I would go so far to say, if a young person understands what a VPN is smart enough to know how it operates and what it allows them to do, they can install it and then use it to look at the stuff. Okay, now you're not accidentally seeing things. Now you're going through some steps to say, I want to see some boobage. I want to see the old in and out. Then that I'm okay with. But for kids to just accidentally come across this when they're under the age of 10, 8, that's not okay. Something needs to be done about that. And again, if the parents don't care and the company doesn't care, maybe the government is the one that has to care. I don't like that idea, but let me know if you guys have any alternatives. And is this maybe a good thing to start changing the course of how quickly our society seems to be collapsing into chaos? Or is this something just people enjoy? It's not really that meaningful, and a lot of people are overblowing this. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.